They say fate rides the loneliest roads. On the edge of nowhere, under a pale Montana moon, a teenage girl heard the growls before she saw the blood. When she dragged a dying biker out of a wolf pack that night, she didn't know 100 engines would roar back for her. Before we start the story, tell us, where in the world are you watching this from? And if you enjoy our stories, please consider subscribing to our channel. It'll help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers and keep sharing more inspiring content with you. Pine Hollow wasn't on most maps anymore. Just a stretch of cracked asphalt between two ghost towns and a rusting gas station. Maya Collins, 17, lived in a trailer behind her late father's hunting store. Since his passing, she survived on canned soup and silence. Nights were long, especially after dark when coyotes cried and the mountains echoed back. She taught herself to shoot, to mend wounds, and to fix the old generator that coughed through the cold. That night, she was out near the ridge with her flashlight, checking traps for raccoons. The beam sliced through fog when she heard it, an animal snarl, but deeper, layered with something human. A man's groan, then chaos. Wolves, 5, maybe 6, snapping around something alive. Maya's instincts took over. She raised her rifle, fired once into the air. The pack scattered, but lingered at the tree line, eyes glinting like coals. On the ground lay a biker, blood slicking his leather cut. Gasping through broken teeth, Maya dropped to her knees beside him. His vest read Hellsangels, Redwood Chapter. His breathing was ragged, his jeans torn at the thigh where the wolves had gotten him. "Stay with me," she said, voice trembling but steady. "You're not dying here." His eyes cracked open, gray and tired. "Don't waste your bullets, kid," he rasped. "They'll come back. Not if I get you inside." She looped his arm over her shoulders and dragged slow, brutal inches through dirt and pine needles toward her ATV. The wolves followed, silent shadows pacing her light. She jammed the throttle, engine whining as she tore down the trail, blood dripping from his boot, adrenaline drowning fear. Back at the trailer, she hauled him onto the porch, heart pounding. Inside, she cleared the kitchen table, dumped antiseptic, and grabbed her father's old med kit. "Name?" she asked, pressing gauze into the wound. "Ryder," he muttered. "Just Ryder." She tightened the tourniquet until he screamed, then whispered, "Good. Means you're still alive." The next hours blurred into survival. Maya worked in silence, sewing the gash closed with trembling fingers, using fishing line and vodka as sterilizer. The man drifted in and out, muttering names she didn't know. "Snake, Jax, the kid." When she finished, she wrapped the leg and prayed infection wouldn't take him. Outside, the wolves prowled again, their howls threading through the thin trailer walls. Maya sat by the window with her rifle across her lap until dawn painted the sky pale blue. When she finally dared to breathe, she looked back at him. He was still alive, barely. Tattoos covered his arms, dates, initials, one patch inked directly into his skin. Ride or die, 1%er. A man who'd lived rough and fought harder. He didn't belong in her world of quiet chores and old ghosts. And yet something about him, something raw and broken, made her want to keep him breathing. She poured coffee, slid a mug beside his hand, and whispered, "Don't make me regret this." By noon, Ryder woke fully. The first thing he saw was the faded photo taped above the stove. A little girl with her father holding a trout, both smiling like life hadn't hurt them yet. "You saved me," he croaked. Maya nodded. "You were dinner for 6 wolves." He tried to sit up, groaned, and fell back. "Where am I?" "Pine Hollow," she said. "Middle of nothing." He managed a dry laugh. "Figures." When she told him she'd found his bike torn apart near the ridge, his jaw clenched. "Wasn't wolves that took me down?" he muttered. "Got run off the road first." "By who?" she asked. "Rival MC, the vultures. They've been tailing us since Utah." He winced, as pain shot through him. "Guess I didn't make it," Maya studied him. "You really ride with the angels?" "Yeah," he said, eyes closing. "Been with them longer than you've been breathing." She poured more water into his glass and whispered, "Then maybe it's time. Someone saved you back." For 2 days, Ryder slept and healed. Maya hunted rabbits, cleaned his wound, and ignored the town gossip when old Mrs. Dunn stopped by asking about that strange man's bike she'd seen on the ridge. Maya lied smoothly, "Just some hunter," but word traveled fast in small towns. By the 3rd day, a black pickup circled near her property, slowing just long enough for her to notice the vulture decal on its rear window. Her pulse spiked. She locked the door, checked her rifle, and peeked outside. The truck rolled away, dust rising behind it. When she turned back, Ryder was standing in the doorway, pale but steady, a pistol in his hand. "They found me," he said quietly. "You shouldn't have saved me, kid." Maya glared. "You're too late for that." He managed a weak grin. "You've got guts." "No," she said, sliding a shell into the rifle chamber. "I've got a target." Outside, far off but growing louder, came the faint, distant echo of motorcycle engines. The next evening, the sound of tires crunching over gravel pulled Maya from sleep. Ryder was already up, limping but alert, his hand gripping the pistol. "Stay inside," he ordered. She peeked through the blinds. 2 bikes, not many, but enough to mean trouble. The riders wore black vests, stitched with a skeletal bird. Vulture's MC. One of them, tall and stringy with snake tattoos across his neck, kicked Ryder's wrecked Harley lying near the fence. "Looks like the old dog crawled somewhere to die," he jeered. The other laughed, spitting tobacco. "Boss says find him. He took something." Ryder exhaled slow. "They won't leave until I'm dead." "Then let's change the plan," Maya said, already loading shells into the rifle. He shot her a look, half disbelief, half respect. "You ever fired that thing at a person?" "Not yet," she said. He almost smiled. Outside, the vultures revved their bikes, circling like the wolves from that first night. "They think they're hunters," Ryder murmured. "But they forget. Wolves run in packs, too." Ryder limped to the garage while Maya covered the windows. Inside, dust floated over her father's old tools. "You got gas?" he asked. "Half a can." "Good, we'll make fire." He ripped fabric from an old tarp, dipped strips in gasoline, and stuffed them into bottles. Maya handed him a lighter, heart pounding. "You sure about this?" "I've been hunted before," he said. "Only difference now is I've got backup." She cocked her head. "You mean me?" "Kid, I've seen men with patches run from less." They heard boots outside. The first biker kicked the trailer door open, gun raised. Maya was faster. She fired once. The man fell, his shoulder exploding red. "Guess that counts," Ryder said grimly, lighting the Molotov and tossing it toward the second vulture. Fire splashed across the gravel, flames swallowing the air. The remaining rider bolted for his bike and tore off down the road. Ryder slumped against the doorframe, blood soaking through his bandage. "Now they'll bring more," he said. "Good," Maya answered, jaw tight. "Let them try." The night turned quiet again, too quiet. Ryder sat on the couch, eyes half closed, while Maya patched him up a second time. "Why'd they come after you?" she asked. "Because I stopped being one of them." He took a shaky breath. "The angels don't deal in meth, not anymore. Vultures do. They wanted our roots, our names, our towns. I said no. They called it betrayal." Maya wiped the blood off his arm. "So you ran?" "Didn't run. Got ambushed." His voice cracked, something heavy buried beneath the words. "They killed my brother. Left him on the road like trash." Maya's throat tightened. "So now they think you're dead too?" He nodded. "Until tonight." She leaned back in her chair, the weight of his pain settling between them. "Then we don't let them win." "You talk like a soldier." "My dad taught me to shoot before he taught me to spell," she said. Ryder smirked. Guess the angels found their guardian. Neither of them noticed the faint glimmer of headlights cresting the hill far beyond the pines. At dawn, Maya woke to a thunder she couldn't place at first. Low, rolling, rhythmic. Not weather. Engines, dozens. She ran outside, barefoot on the cold dirt. Over the ridge came a line of motorcycles, stretching as far as she could see. Sunlight flashed off chrome and steel. 100 riders easy. The lead bike slowed, its rider raising 2 fingers in salute. On his chest patch, President, Hell's Angels, Redwood Chapter. Behind him flags fluttered, the red and white winged skull bright against morning gold. Ryder stepped onto the porch, disbelief etched across his face. "You called them?" Maya asked. He shook his head slowly. "They tracked my GPS tag. Angels always find their own." The president dismounted, strode forward, and pulled Ryder into a rough hug. "We thought you were gone, brother." "Almost was," Ryder said. He turned toward Maya. "She saved me." The man looked her up and down, barefoot, hair messy, holding a rifle too big for her size, and grinned. "Then she saved one of us. The angels swarmed the property like an army of steel saints. Some checked the ridge for signs of the vultures. Others repaired Ryder's shredded bike." Maya stood in the center of it all, unsure whether to speak or breathe. The president approached again, offering her a worn leather vest. On the back, in faded stitching, it read, "Honor Ride Support, Redwood Chapter." "For courage," he said. "For family." She hesitated, tears burning behind her eyes. "I'm not one of you?" "You are now," Ryder said, his voice low and certain. Engines idled around them like a heartbeat made of thunder. The president nodded once, then turned to his men. "We ride for her today. Anyone touches this town again, they answer to all of us." 100 bikes roared to life in unison, shaking the ground. Maya clutched the vest to her chest as they rolled out, sunlight glinting off their chrome halos. For the first time since her father's death, she didn't feel alone. The wolves were gone, but the angels had stayed. The convoy left a trail of dust that shimmered like a mirage. But a few riders stayed behind. Men with scars, road-worn eyes, and a loyalty that ran deeper than blood. They repaired fences, secured windows, and refueled Maya's generator without being asked. One of them, a grizzled mechanic named Hawk, handed her a pair of biker gloves. "You're one of us now, kid," he said. "Means you get to wear armor that fits." Maya smiled awkwardly, slipping them on. They felt heavy, important. Ryder watched her from the porch, his expression unreadable. Later that night, under a sky thick with stars, he sat beside her by the fire pit. "You did more than save my life," he said. "You reminded me it was worth saving." Maya looked up. "And you gave me back a reason to believe people can be good." Silence stretched between them, filled by the sound of distant wolves. This time, the howls didn't make her afraid. They made her feel alive. Over the next few days, Pine Hollow transformed. The angels set up camp near the ridge, running patrols to keep the vultures away. Maya's quiet trailer became the chapter's temporary base, a hub of laughter, grease-stained hands, and shared meals cooked over open flames. For a girl who'd spent years in silence, the noise was healing. One afternoon, she found Ryder sitting by his rebuilt Harley, wiping chrome like a ritual. "You'll leave soon," she said softly. He didn't look up. "Yeah, club needs me back in Redwood," she swallowed. "And me?" Ryder finally met her gaze. "You've got more road ahead than you think. You could come with us if you wanted." The idea hit her like sunlight, terrifying and freeing. "You'd take me?" "You saved an angel. That makes you family." Maya looked at the endless road beyond the mountains, the one she'd only ever dreamed of. "Maybe," she whispered. "But not because I need saving. Because I'm ready to ride." That night, the wind carried the low rumble of engines again. But this time it wasn't angels. A small group of vultures rolled into town, guns flashing under their headlights. "They're here for me," Ryder said, standing, pain etched into every movement. Maya grabbed her rifle. "Steady now, no hesitation. Then they get both of us." The first bullet shattered a fence post. The angels sprang into action, engines roaring to life. The air exploded with motion, gunfire, headlights, grit and fury. Maya fired twice, dropping one vulture rider before he reached the porch. Hawk flanked from the side, cutting off their escape. The rest of the gang peeled away, vanishing into the night. When silence returned, Maya's hands shook, but not from fear, from adrenaline. Ryder rested a hand on her shoulder. "You didn't freeze." She exhaled hard. "Guess I finally stopped being the prey." He smiled faintly. "No, kid. You just became the kind of woman the road respects." By dawn, the vultures were gone for good. Sheriff Daniels arrived late, hands on his belt, eyes wide at the sight of tire tracks and spent shells. "You planning to explain what happened here?" he asked. Ryder just nodded toward the highway. "Ask them." The sheriff followed his gaze, a horizon lined with angels waiting in the distance, silent, chrome glinting like a warning. He nodded once, deciding he'd seen enough. "Good folks don't mess with this town anymore," he said quietly. After he left, the angels gathered for one last ride before heading home. The president turned to Maya, handing her a small patch, a white halo stitched above the words "Honor Keeper." "You reminded us what this club stands for," he said. "Respect, loyalty, redemption." She fastened the patch to her borrowed vest, heart pounding. Ryder started his bike, glancing back at her. "You sure you're not coming?" Maya smiled through tears. "Not today, but I'll find my road when it's time." A week later, Pine Hollow was quiet again. The mountains loomed soft in the morning light, and the trailer's porch carried the faint smell of oil and coffee. Maya stood beside her rebuilt generator, staring at the tire marks that still scarred the dirt. For the first time, the silence didn't ache, it hummed. A package sat on the steps, delivered by courier. Inside was a new leather vest, freshly stitched. Maya Wolfgirl Collins, guardian angel. No note, just a small silver keychain shaped like a wing. She smiled, tears catching in her lashes. That evening she started her father's old truck and drove down the empty road, the vest folded on the seat beside her. The horizon burned orange and wide, full of roads yet traveled. She whispered, "See you out there, Ryder." Somewhere far away, 100 bikes thundered back to life, like a promise kept in steel and fire, a reminder that even the loneliest hearts can find their pack again. 2 weeks later, the first snow-dusted Pine Hollow. Maya sat on the porch steps, wrapped in her father's old jacket, staring at the horizon. The quiet felt different now, not empty, just waiting. She'd started fixing up the store again, turning it into a roadside stop for riders. Coffee, oil, and patch kits, her way of keeping the road alive for others. One evening, as she flipped the sign to closed, the ground began to tremble. At first, she thought it was thunder, but the rhythm was too steady, too alive. Engines, many, the kind that rolled through your bones before your ears. Maya stepped outside, breath fogging in the cold, eyes wide. Over the ridge came a sight she would never forget. A line of chrome stretching down the highway, headlights gleaming like stars reborn. 100 Hell's Angels riding in formation, red and white patches blazing in the dusk. Her heart stopped. They'd come back. All of them. The convoy slowed as they reached her property. The lead rider, the Redwood president, parked first, dust rising behind him like smoke. Behind him, Ryder pulled up, a new scar down his cheek, but a grin that could have lit the sky. "Told you we find our way back," he said. Maya laughed through tears. "You brought the whole damn army." "Family," he corrected. "And family says thank you properly." The angels dismounted, forming a circle around her. One by one they removed their helmets, heads bowed. The president spoke. We ride for honor. We fight for our own. And sometimes one of our own don't wear a patch. She earns it. He held out a fresh vest, red-winged skull stitched in white. Below it her road name, Wolf Girl. You faced the pack, he said. You didn't run. You protected one of ours. That makes you one of us. The world blurred around her as Maya took the vest in shaking hands. I didn't save him for this, she whispered. We know, Ryder said softly. That's what makes it real. They lit a bonfire behind the store, the kind that painted the night orange and gold. Engines idled nearby like a heartbeat, steady and alive. Maya stood beside Ryder as the president raised a toast of whiskey. To the kid who showed us what courage looks like, he said. To family found on the road. To those who keep us human when the world forgets how. The men roared their approval, bottles clinking, fire crackling. Ryder turned to her. You changed the story, Wolf Girl. You turned ghosts into brothers again. She smiled, the flames reflecting in her eyes. You just needed someone to remind you what home feels like. For the first time since her father's death, she felt it. Belonging. Not because someone gave it to her, but because she'd earned it. Around her laughter rose, fierce and free. The angels weren't legends tonight. They were men healing in the only way they knew, through loyalty. Through fire, through family. Before dawn, as the last embers faded, Ryder found her sitting on the hood of his Harley, vest draped over her shoulders. You ever gonna ride? He asked. She looked at the open road stretching east. Not yet, she said. Still too many folks out there like me, lost and waiting for a sign. He nodded. Then keep your light on. He handed her a small metal badge shaped like a wing. If you ever need us, just send this north. Someone will find you. She closed her fist around it, the cool metal warming in her palm. And you? She asked. He smiled. The road never ends, kid. But now it's got a reason to come back. He climbed onto his Harley, engines starting around him like thunder returning to the earth. As the sun rose, the angels rode off once more, 100 strong, their silhouettes cutting through the mist like a moving prayer. Maya stood there, wind in her hair, and whispered, Ride safe, brothers. Weeks later, Pine Hollow found a new rhythm. Riders stopped often now. Strangers, veterans, women, drifters, all hearing whispers about the girl who saved a hell's angel from the wolves. Maya's small store had become a haven, a crossroads for souls who'd lost their way. On the counter sat a glass case with a patch framed inside. Hell's Angels MC, Wolf Girl. She dusted it every morning before unlocking the door. Outside, the sky stretched wide and endless. Sometimes, when the wind shifted, she could still hear the faint hum of engines far away, a sound like home calling from the horizon. She smiled, knowing the road was alive, and that somewhere out there the angels rode for her too. If this story moved you, if you believe family isn't just blood, but those who show up when wolves circle, then hit subscribe, like, and ring the bell. Because here we tell stories of courage, kindness, and the roads that save us. Keep your light on, riders.